What is up, everybody? In today's video, we talk about many days of severe weather that is upcoming across a lot of the U.S. and a risk for tropical development in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's get right into today's video. Alright, the first thing we're going to be talking about in today's video is a slight risk of severe weather that is in effect for today across portions of South Dakota, all the way over to Minnesota, northern portions of Nebraska, into western portions of west central Wisconsin regions, including Rapid City, Pierre, Broken Bow, O'Neill, Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, St. Cloud, the Twin Cities, Eau Claire, Rochester, and Fergus Falls regions all under this slight risk of severe weather for today. So definitely be weather aware for these threats. We do have a 5% risk of tornadoes. If you're in South Dakota, most of that area is not really in any sort of tornado risk, but the main area is going to be in this region over here with a tornado risk ranging from Clear Lake all the way over to St. Cloud, all the way over to the Twin Cities, including Minneapolis and St. Paul. Over in these regions here, there's going to be a significant risk of severe weather, or not really a significant tornado risk, but a risk for a few tornadoes in that red region, and then a risk for an isolated tornado too in the green areas, including Eau Claire, Wadena, into Clark regions, and portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and South Dakota regions under this risk of severe weather. So definitely be weather aware for the risk of tornadoes, and if you do get a tornado warning, make sure to take shelter in a basement or an interior room when those sirens sound. Now, there's also a risk for wind across all of the regions, including Rapid City, Sioux Falls, St. Cloud, Minneapolis, and Rochester areas. If you are in these regions, you do have a risk for damaging wind gusts, potentially from 60 to 75 miles an hour, so definitely be prepared and weather aware, as 60 to 70 miles an hour winds could be possible for today. And a risk of hail across Rapid City all the way over to Clear Lake, St. Cloud, Minneapolis, Eau Claire, and a hatched 15% significant risk of hail, meaning in that black hatched region, we could see upwards of 2-inch or greater in diameter of hail across St. Cloud, Clear Lake, and the Morris and Alexandria areas in Minnesota regions. So definitely be weather aware for that, and keep your cars indoors when you get severe weather alerts, as storms could definitely pack a punch with big hail for today. Now, the day 2 severe weather risk is a slight risk of severe weather ranging all the way from Kansas City all the way up over into portions of the UP of Michigan here, including Kansas City, Topeka, Omaha, Lincoln, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, La Crosse areas. Rochester's all under this. Green Bay into Eau Claire, Escanaba, into Marquette regions, and Wausau and Rhineland are all under the severe weather risk. So definitely be weather aware for that today in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri, and Kansas, and portions of Nebraska here. The tornado risk is really low. It's basically nothing across these areas. But we do also have a risk of wind damage, so 60 to 70 miles an hour wind gusts are possible in Kansas City, Des Moines, all the way up into portions of central and northern Wisconsin regions, into the UP of Michigan, into Iowa. So if you're in those regions, be prepared for some winds, and then the hail risk is really low in those regions, but it is possible across those areas. And I did want to mention on day 1, we do have a slight risk of severe weather that it kind of includes really close to New York City, but New York City's in the marginal risk. But it does include State College, Williamsport, Scranton, into Binghamton and Albany regions. So if you're in those areas, be weather aware today. The severe weather risk isn't too significant, but there is an isolated risk of strong winds up to 60 miles an hour or greater, and an isolated tornado possible in Albany, Schenectady, into Pittsfield regions, all under that severe weather risk today. Now, the day 3 risk of severe weather is not too significant. It's just a marginal 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather, ranging from St. Louis to Jefferson City, all the way over to Columbia, Springfield, Indianapolis, Dayton, and Bellefontaine on Monday, and barely including Chicago regions, and another severe weather risk including Washington, D.C., Harrisonburg, Roanoke, and Greensboro areas. If you're in these regions, be weather aware for some isolated severe weather, but it's going to be a not too significant, just some strong to isolated severe storms that could pack a punch with some isolated winds up to 60 miles an hour, and maybe a tornado or two in portions of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana regions, but not too significant. Now, the timing for today's 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather across the northern plains, the northern plains is going to be, we're going to see the first storm start to develop across North Dakota and portions of northern Minnesota. That could bring an isolated tornado or two possible with it around the 7 7 o'clock hours. But the main risk will start to develop in the late evening to even the overnight hours across portions of Minnesota, and these could bring the risk for a few tornadoes possible. Large hail and damaging winds, especially in those regions, could see the most significant hail and could even develop and hit the Minneapolis regions during the overnight hours to even 3 a.m. potentially across portions of Minneapolis and bring some damaging winds, hail, and even a tornado or two possible across those regions. But we could see many clusters of storms start to develop across portions of central Minnesota across in 9 p.m. all the way to 3 a.m. across these regions. So a late night severe weather risk. So definitely be weather aware there. And if you get any warnings, make sure to have um, your phone alerts on and be weather aware so it can wake you up if you do get any tornado warnings tonight across those regions and portions of Minnesota. And then another risk of isolated severe weather could develop into the early morning hours and packs a punch with some damaging winds and hail across portions of South Dakota. Now, for the timing of today's storms across portions of the northeastern U.S. for the slight risk of severe weather that is in effect, we already do have some storms that are already sustaining across portions of Pennsylvania areas currently, and will keep moving towards the east with some strong storms producing some damaging winds and an isolated tornado or two across these areas around the 3 to 4 p.m. hours across portions of the UP of New York, um, or no, not the UP, upstate New York, sorry, and portions of eastern Pennsylvania, ranging from 4 to 6 p.m. when we could have some damaging wind gusts, and then it will start to dissipate by the time it reaches the New York City in southern New York regions into portions of Connecticut and New Jersey areas, but could bring some damaging winds um, to Philadelphia around 8 p.m. time frame. One thing I do want to mention is we do have a 70% chance of a tropical disturbance already this early in the year across portions of the southern Gulf of Mexico regions here with a 70% chance of tropical development um, from day 2 all the way to day 7. So in the next few days or so, we could already see this tropical disturbance start to develop, and it's already showing signs of pretty good development as it's producing a lot of convection across portions of Mexico near Villahermosa and Ciudad del Carmen regions that could head over to the northeast with this Invest 91L tropical disturbance that we do have that is producing some isolated organized convection regions that could start to become a tropical depression or even a tropical storm in the next few days or so. So definitely be prepared for that. The National Hurricane Center is mentioning that this storm could bring tropical storm watches or even warnings required for portions of the Mexican Gulf Coast as soon as this afternoon, actually, regardless of tropical cycle information. With locally heavy rains ongoing over portions of Guatemala and southeastern Mexico and will continue during the next few days. Now, the National Hurricane Center does not expect this thing to really impact portions of the United States, but could definitely bring some damaging impacts with strong winds and heavy rainfall and flash flooding across portions of Mexico areas in the next few days or so as the storm starts to track towards the northeast. And could develop into a tropical depression or even tropical storm. Alright, I hope everybody did enjoy today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more severe weather updates so you're prepared when the next storms strike your region in the US. And we do have a lot of severe weather that is ongoing across the next few days. It's not too significant, but we do have multiple days of severe weather that will occur over the next few days or so that could cause some severe weather impacts. So you definitely do need to be weather aware for that. And the tropical disturbance that could cause a lot of heavy rainfall for portions of southeastern Mexico areas. So definitely be prepared. Hope you guys will like today's video, and bye everybody.